The California spring sun bathed Union Square in San Francisco when Sonia Curry, with her confident steps and a discreet smile, approached the imposing Ferrari dealership. The glass and steel building reflected the midday light, creating an almost celestial glow around the vehicles displayed in the windows. Dressed with understated elegance, well-cut pants, a silk blouse, and sophisticated yet subtle accessories, Sonia carried with her not only her impeccable sense of style, but also the excitement of someone preparing a special surprise. For weeks, she had meticulously researched the model that Steph had always admired from afar, the one he mentioned with a gleam in his eyes whenever they passed a dealership. His wedding anniversary with Isha deserved something extraordinary, and Sonia, with the financial support gained after years of hard work, had decided to make this grand gesture for her son. As she crossed the automatic doors, Sonia was greeted by an environment meticulously designed to exude exclusivity. The aroma of new leather, the impeccable marble floor, the strategically positioned lighting to highlight the sensual curves of the Italian cars. 3 salespeople circulated through the showroom, all engaged with customers who embodied the stereotype of Ferrari buyers. Middle-aged white men in expensive suits, gesturing knowingly while discussing horsepower and carbon fiber finishes. 15 minutes passed. Sonia calmly toured each section of the I.O. store, admiring the vehicles, reading specifications, occasionally checking notes on her phone. No salesperson approached her. Finally, she addressed one who had just concluded a conversation. "Excuse me, I'm interested in the Roma model in GT configuration. I'd like to discuss customization options and financing." The salesman, badge indicating Thomas, raised his eyebrows almost imperceptibly before responding with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Of course, ma'am, but perhaps you'd prefer to start with something more accessible. We have certified pre-owned options that might be more suitable." "Actually, I've researched extensively, and it's the Roma that interests me. I'm prepared to make full payment today, depending on the available options." Thomas exchanged glances with a colleague before responding, his tone gradually becoming more condescending as he questioned her about technical specifications, as if testing her knowledge. When Sonia responded with precision, even mentioning specific customization packages, the salesman seemed momentarily disconcerted. That's when a man in an impeccable suit approached. The store manager, as his golden badge proclaimed. "Any problem here, Thomas?" "The lady is interested in the Roma, Mr. Keller." The manager examined Sonia from head to toe, his gaze lingering on her purse and shoes, as if assessing her financial capacity by her appearance. "I'm afraid we're about to close for a private event. Perhaps you could return another time, preferably with a prior appointment." Sonia discreetly looked at her watch and then at the operating hours displayed at the entrance. "Your website indicates you close at 6 today. It's only 2 in the afternoon." "It's a last-minute corporate event. I apologize for the inconvenience." The manager made a subtle gesture to a nearby security guard who began to position himself strategically. "I'm here to buy a car for my son, Steph Curry. I can assure you that I have the means—" "Ma'am," the manager interrupted, his tone now openly incredulous. "We would appreciate if you didn't invent connections with celebrities. We're very busy with serious customers today." The silence that followed was deafening. Other customers were now observing the scene, some with visible discomfort, others with malicious curiosity. Sonia, feeling the heat rising to her face, but refusing to lose her composure, straightened her posture. "I understand. Have a good day." With unwavering dignity, she turned on her heels and walked out, feeling the gazes following her every step. Only when she reached the safety of her car, away from indiscreet eyes, did she allow herself to feel the full weight of the humiliation. With slightly trembling hands, she picked up the phone and dialed her son, initially reluctant to share the degrading experience. But upon hearing Steph's warm voice on the other end of the line, the words finally overflowed. The dim light of the desk lamp cast elongated shadows across the office as Steph hung up the call with his mother. His fingers remained on the phone for a few moments, the only sound in the room being his controlled breathing, a technique he used not only on the courts, but in moments like this, when indignation threatened to consume his reasoning. Contrary to what many would expect, Steph didn't immediately post on social media or contact his army of agents and advisors. Instead, he opened his laptop and began methodically researching, first about California legislation regarding discrimination in commercial establishments, then about the corporate structure of Ferrari North America. "It's not about a car," he murmured to himself while taking detailed notes. "It's about dignity." The next morning, his personal attorney appeared surprised to receive a consultation not about million-dollar contracts or investments, but about legal protections against discrimination in commerce. "I'm not interested in suing," Steph clarified during the video call. "I want to understand the complete picture before acting." 3 days later, Steph connected with his father, Del Curry, from his home in Atherton. The computer screen framed the experienced face of the former player, lines of expression marking decades of similar experiences. "This reminds me of Atlantic City, 1994, Del recalled, adjusting his glasses. "I had just signed with the Hornets, had money in my pocket, but couldn't get a taxi for almost an hour." "It still happens," Steph agreed, "even with our resources. The difference is what you do afterwards," Del responded, his voice carrying the wisdom of chosen battles. "Some fight, others build." This philosophy guided Steph's next step. Meticulously, he organized a test. 3 different people would visit the dealership on consecutive days. Mark, his white friend with no sports connections, was welcomed with champagne and immediate attention. Jackson, an African-American colleague from the Charity Foundation, waited 20 minutes before receiving superficial attention. And Dr. Washington, a middle-aged African-American neurosurgeon, reported an experience virtually identical to Sonia's. Veiled disdain and suggestions to look for more realistic options. In parallel, Steph scoured online reports and contacted other athletes. A pattern quickly emerged. The dealership in question had a history of distinct treatments based on perceived racial and age profiles. A week after the incident, Steph flew to Charlotte. In the cozy garden of his mother's house, he observed how she moved with a subtle hesitation that wasn't there before. "It made me feel small," Sonia confessed while watering her award-winning begonias, "as if all my achievements could be erased by the color of my skin." "You taught me that responding with anger only gives people what they expect," Steph reflected, taking his mother's hands in his. "I'll resolve this in a way that no one expects." Back in California, Steph picked up the phone and made a surprising call, directly to the Ferrari dealership. Calmly identifying himself, he requested to speak with the regional manager. In minutes, the call escalated to senior executives, their voices overflowing with anxiety to remedy the misunderstanding. "We would like to offer your family VIP treatment and substantial discounts," the regional director proposed nervously. "I appreciate it, but I'm not interested in personal privileges," Steph responded with firm politeness. "The problem is systemic, and the solution also needs to be." After hanging up, he returned to the computer where he had left open a documentary about effective corporate activism. In the late hours of the night, he finalized a detailed plan. its pages filled with precise strategies and measurable objectives. His phone lit up with a notification. His partners at Under Armour confirmed. They were ready to hear his revolutionary proposal. The headquarters of the Eat, Learn, Play Foundation in Oakland buzzed with a different energy that morning. Steph had convened not only his usual team, but also experts in corporate diversity, civil rights attorneys, and brand strategists. The whiteboard in the conference room, normally filled with plans to combat childhood hunger or improve school libraries, now displayed a new title in decisive letters: Respect in Every Space. "I don't just want to correct an isolated situation," Steffi Thitha explained, moving around the room with the same focused intensity he demonstrated on the courts. "I want to transform a negative moment into lasting change." In the days that followed, the space transformed into a social innovation laboratory. Experts presented data on discrimination in luxury retail, while the team developed practical protocols to identify and eliminate biases in customer service. Steph remained at the center of this activity, questioning every detail, refining each proposal. The biggest trap would be creating something purely symbolic, he insisted during a particularly intense meeting. "We need real metrics, tangible consequences, and structured incentives." Negotiations with major partner brands proved to be a challenge worthy of his strategic skills. In an especially tense video conference with Under Armour executives, Steph faced veiled resistance. "We understand your personal commitment," argued a senior vice president, "but getting involved in politically sensitive issues may alienate consumers." Steph, his serene expression masking unshakable determination, leaned toward the camera. "Basic respect isn't politics, it's humanity. And brands that don't understand this will be obsolete in 5 years." The momentary silence was followed by nods of agreement. The meeting ended with concrete commitments to support the initiative. In parallel, Steph worked with a diverse team to develop training materials that were simultaneously accessible and impactful. He personally reviewed each module, often until late hours, refining examples and ensuring inclusive language. "This segment on microaggressions needs to be more specific," he noted one early morning, his reading glasses slipping down his nose as he worked. "We want people to recognize real behaviors, not just abstract concepts." Internal doubts, naturally, emerged in rare moments of quietude. During a family dinner, while Riley and Ryan animatedly discussed their school projects, Steph remained unusually contemplative. "I'm torn," he finally confessed to Isha when they were alone in the kitchen. "Some think I should demand firings, publicly boycott. Others say I'm being too confrontational by pushing for audits and accountability." Isha paused her dessert preparation, facing him with the frankness that characterized their relationship. "Genuine changes are rarely comfortable for everyone at first," she responded, her voice soft but firm. "You're not seeking revenge or approval. You're building a better path." The decisive moment came when the Ferrari dealership owner personally called, his voice betraying anxiety about possible damage to the brand's reputation. "Mr. Curry, surely we can resolve this discreetly. A misunderstanding shouldn't tarnish decades of automotive excellence." "I completely agree," Steph responded with surprising calmness. "That's why I'm offering Ferrari the opportunity to lead a positive transformation in the industry. I'm not interested in shaming anyone. I'm interested in progress." In the following weeks, the final proposal took shape. A comprehensive program, including mandatory training on unconscious biases, anonymous feedback systems for customers, and regular audits conducted by independent third parties. The real test came when Steph presented the complete program to a select group of influential athletes and celebrities at a discreet event in Los Angeles. The nervousness he felt before this presentation surpassed that of any championship final. "I'm not just asking for your support," he concluded, after detailing the initiative. "I'm asking you to amplify this model in your own spheres of influence." LeBron James was the first to speak up. "Count me in to expand this to the real estate sector," he declared. "The same problems exist there." One by one, those present committed themselves, transforming a personal response into a collective movement with potential for national impact. The conference hall at the Javits Center in New York was completely packed, executives from various luxury retail sectors leaning forward in their seats. On stage, Steph Curry wasn't wearing the blue and gold Warriors uniform, but an impeccably cut suit that reflected the seriousness of the occasion. Behind him, a large screen displayed graphs and statistics under the discreet but powerful logo: "Respect in every space." 6 months ago, we initiated a difficult conversation, Steph began, his voice carrying the same focused intensity of his decisive moments on court. "Today, I present not promises, but concrete results." The numbers were impressive: 213 luxury establishments implementing the developed protocols, 47% reduction in complaints of discriminatory treatment, 31% increase in customer diversity without any negative impact on sales. In fact, with increased customer loyalty. "Real change doesn't just happen in the spotlight," he continued, advancing to the next slide. "It happens in small daily interactions when no one is filming." The audience reacted with visible surprise when the CEO of Ferrari North America took the stage. 6 months earlier, the company was on the defensive. Now, they presented themselves as a case study in progressive corporate response. "We transformed a moment of failure into a catalyst for inclusive excellence," declared the executive. "Our trainings inspired by Mr. Curry's program are now a reference in the global automotive sector." Even more surprising was the next guest, the former manager of the San Francisco dealership, the very one who had dismissed Sonia Curry. After undergoing extensive training and demonstrating genuine commitment to change, he now led workshops on recognizing unconscious biases. "My ignorance cost Ferrari a customer," he admitted with palpable humility. But more importantly, it represented an attack on the dignity of another human being. Steph then presented a video with anonymous testimonials, ordinary people sharing transformed experiences. "For the first time, I didn't feel I needed to prove my worth when entering the store. The salesperson treated me with the same respect they treated white customers. I didn't need to bring my husband to be taken seriously." 1 month after the conference, Steph organized a special event. Sonia Curry, elegantly dressed, entered the same Ferrari dealership that had expelled her. This time, she was greeted by a visibly diverse team, led by the new regional manager who stepped forward with genuine respect. "Mrs. Curry, it's an honor to receive you," he said, handing her flowers. "We would like to formally apologize for the unacceptable treatment you received and invite you to share your experience in our next corporate training." Steph, observing the scene, didn't reveal he was there to buy the car originally planned. Instead, he announced a partnership between his foundation and Ferrari to fund educational programs in underrepresented communities, focusing on automotive engineering and design. "Our goal was never punishment," he explained to the reporters present. "It was transformation." Weeks later, at the Curry residence in Atherton, the gathered family celebrated not a victory in the NBA Finals, but something that Steph secretly valued even more. Around the dinner table, Sonia raised her glass in a toast. To the ability to transform pain into purpose, she said, her eyes shining with maternal pride. You could have used your privilege for revenge or for personal benefit. Instead, you built bridges. Steph smiled, reflecting on the journey. Trophies eventually gather dust, but systemic change, that's eternal. The phone discreetly vibrated with notifications. Several other luxury brands requesting to implement the program, and state legislators expressing interest in codifying some of the protocols into state law. With a smooth movement, Steph silenced the device and returned his attention to the family. The true victory wasn't in the titles or statistics, but in the thousands of people who would never know his name, but who would walk with more dignity through previously exclusive spaces. And that, Steph reflected, while looking gratefully at his mother, was worth more than any championship ring.